It was the morning of September 29, 1982, in the quiet suburbs of Chicago, Illinois. The air was crisp with the first real bite of autumn. The leaves along the neighborhood streets had begun their annual transformation, turning brilliant shades of red, gold, and amber. Families prepared for another day, children eating cereal before school, parents getting ready for work. The rhythm of suburban life uninterrupted. But before the sun had fully risen over the Midwest that day, a chain of events would begin that would change American consumer safety forever. The first victim was 12-year-old Mary Kellerman of Elk Grove Village. Mary had woken up feeling a little under the weather, nothing serious, just the beginnings of a cold. Her parents, wanting her to feel better, gave her a single, Extra-Strength Tylenol capsule from their medicine cabinet. A brand trusted in millions of households, a name synonymous with relief. Mary swallowed the capsule with a sip of water. Within hours, she was dead. At first, her sudden death made no sense. She had been healthy, active, and full of life just the day before. The coroner would later note cyanosis, the blue tint to her lips, and other signs that hinted at poisoning. But no one yet realized the full horror of what was about to unfold. Later that same day, in Arlington Heights, 27-year-old Adam Janus left work early, complaining of chest pains. A respected postal worker and a devoted family man, Adam wasn't one to leave work lightly. He went home, took some Tylenol to ease his discomfort, and collapsed shortly thereafter. He was rushed to the hospital, but despite frantic efforts, he was pronounced dead. Doctors initially suspected a heart attack, but the tragedy did not end there. As family members gathered at Adam's home to mourn, two of them, his brother Stanley, 25, and Stanley's wife, Teresa, 19, both developed sudden symptoms after taking Tylenol from the same bottle Adam had used. In a surreal and devastating turn of events, both were pronounced dead within hours. By now, alarm bells were ringing. 3 people from the same family, all dead in a single day, all of whom had taken Tylenol just before collapsing. Investigators began to suspect something unthinkable. The medicine itself was the killer. Meanwhile, in nearby Winfield, 31-year-old Mary Rayner, who had just given birth to her 4th child, took some Tylenol for postpartum discomfort. She too would not survive the day. The death toll climbed as news spread. Paula Prince, a 35-year-old flight attendant, was found dead in her Chicago apartment. She had been photographed buying a bottle of Tylenol at a local Walgreens the day before. That single, haunting image, Paula smiling slightly as she approached the cash register, would later become one of the most chilling symbols of the case. In Lombard, Illinois, 27-year-old Mary McFarland collapsed at work after taking Tylenol from a bottle she kept in her desk. Colleagues were stunned. She had been in perfect health moments earlier. Within just a few days, 7 seemingly unrelated individuals across the Chicago area were dead. The common thread: every single one of them had ingested extra-strength Tylenol capsules. When investigators tested the capsules, the results were staggering. Many contained potassium cyanide, a lethal poison that acts swiftly, shutting down the body's ability to use oxygen, causing victims to collapse within minutes. The amount found in some capsules was enough to kill multiple people. This was not accidental contamination at a factory. This was deliberate, malicious poisoning. The panic was immediate and widespread. Tylenol was the best-selling over-the-counter painkiller in the United States at the time, commanding more than 35% of the market. Millions of bottles were in homes across the country. The idea that a trusted household product could be weaponized so easily shook the public's sense of safety. Johnson & Johnson, the parent company of Tylenol, faced a nightmare scenario. As the death toll rose and media coverage intensified, they made a bold decision that would later be hailed as a landmark in crisis management. They ordered an immediate recall of 31 million bottles of Tylenol from store shelves nationwide, an unprecedented move at the time. It cost the company more than $100 million, but it likely saved countless lives. The recall was accompanied by massive public warnings. News anchors across the country told viewers not to take any Tylenol capsules. Police cars drove through neighborhoods with loudspeakers blaring, "Do not consume Tylenol. Check your medicine cabinets now." Stores pulled the product, and hospitals were flooded with people bringing in bottles for testing. A hotline was set up for concerned citizens, and the FBI joined the investigation. Forensic analysis revealed that the tampering had occurred after the bottles had left the manufacturing plants. This meant someone had taken bottles of store shelves, opened them, replaced some capsules with cyanide-laced versions, and then resealed the bottles before returning them to the shelves. The killer had exploited a terrifying vulnerability in the packaging of the time. There were no tamper-evident seals, no shrink-wrapped caps, and no foil seals under the lid. Consumers had no way of knowing if their medicine had been altered. The investigation was massive, involving local police, the Illinois State Police, the FBI, and the FDA. More than 1,200 leads were followed. Suspects were questioned, and rewards were offered. One of the most infamous names to emerge was James William Lewis, a man from New York City who sent a letter to Johnson & Johnson demanding $1 million to stop the killings. He was arrested and convicted not for the murders, but for extortion. To this day, he has maintained his innocence regarding the actual poisonings. Despite decades of investigation, the Tylenol killer has never been caught. Theories abound. Was it a disgruntled employee, a random act of domestic terrorism, a calculated attempt to damage the company, or something more personal, perhaps even aimed at one of the victims specifically? The cultural impact was immediate and lasting. In the wake of the murders, federal laws were changed to make product tampering a specific crime punishable by death or life in prison. Manufacturers introduced tamper-evident packaging foil seals, child-proof caps, shrink wrapping that became the industry standard. The safety measures we take for granted today owe their existence to the horror of 1982. The Tylenol brand remarkably recovered. Johnson & Johnson's transparency, rapid recall, and introduction of new safety packaging restored public trust. Within a year, Tylenol had regained its market share. The case is now taught in business schools as a textbook example of crisis management. But for the families of Mary Kellerman, Adam Janus, Stanley Janus, Teresa Janus, Mary Rayner, Paula Prince, and Mary McFarland, there was no recovery, only a lifetime of loss. Even now, over 40 years later, the Tylenol murders remain one of the most haunting unsolved crimes in American history. Somewhere, someone knows the truth, and somewhere, perhaps the killer themselves still walks free. Thank you for watching Crimes Through Time. If you found this story chilling, hit the like button and subscribe for more dark chapters from history. And tell us in the comments, do you think the Tylenol killer was a lone psychopath or part of a larger, more sinister plot? We'll see you in the next episode. Until then, stay curious, stay safe,